Welcome to Shelf Life, the monthly series where I look at games I covered 6 or 7 months ago and let you know whether they're still in my collection. And this time I'm looking at games from October of last year, 2025. Let's discuss which of them had shelf life. So first in the crowdfunding corner is the Cryptid cases for Chronicles of Crime. I only got to play one case of this, and of course the Cryptid cases was only one set out of a few that they were crowdfunding at the same time. But I wasn't too impressed with this one. I'm kind of off of the Chronicles of Crime series in general. They were going for this Mulder and Scully dynamic, but the characters had no character, really. The case seemed a little bit odd in its resolution, and I just feel like other mystery games and sort of unlock escape-ish games are doing it better. But if you like Chronicles of Crime, this was another release, and it did have a few new mechanics. And again, what I played was a prototype of just one case, so the rest might be great. Next is the Eterna Overlord set for Battlecrest, which turned the competitive fighting game into a solo co-op boss battling game. And I've talked about this before. I loved this. I think it really brings Battlecrest to life. I hope they do more expansions like this one. Now, this is all I got to play from that campaign. I think it also had new characters and other new stuff, but this was great. And yeah, theoretically, this is already delivered. I should reach out to them and see if I can get a final copy of it because I really enjoyed it and I haven't played it since the prototype. But yeah, Battlecrest Eterna Overlord. Love it. Hope more is to come. Next is the True Solo Mode expansion for Uprising that came with a reprint campaign and a bunch of other stuff. And I thought this was awesome. Uprising is a notoriously long game and it can be pretty complex, and trying to dual hand factions just adds a lot of mental overload. And I think the way they did the True Solo Mode worked really well. There were a few weird cases with controlling two heroes instead of one. But besides that, I had a blast with this one, and I think it makes Uprising even easier to get to the table, which is a good thing because it's a great game design. Next was my Heroes of Tamriel preview. This was a preview for an upcoming expansion for Elder Scrolls. And yeah, this one looks great. It's got tons of new skill lines, tons of new things to liven things up. I didn't get to play much because mostly all they sent was the skill lines and not like all the new quests and the new, boss things you can add in to change up the game while you're playing. This was also the one of the last videos where I was like hand holding things and showing them and giving people like vertigo as I moved. Yeah, you can see it in the video right now as I move stuff around, which is partially what convinced me to, in my more recent videos, do freeze frames on cards and that kind of stuff. So sorry I wasn't doing that there. But yeah, here's a Tamriel. Very excited to see that when it's all ready. Okay, next is one that's still very much wait and see for me, and that is Threshold. This is a solo co-op adventure game where you're kind of deck constructing and leveling up your deck as you go along, and then you're battling enemies and bosses on a hex-based map, while also like moving around and doing side quests. It's trying to emulate an MMO, and that's where a lot of my concerns lie because the story didn't seem very fleshed out or exciting, and the leveling up seemed way too limited, but I think they said they're going to increase the number of cards in each sort of class or school you can level into drastically. That will help a ton. But yeah, I'm not sure yet if I love this one. It was very quick and fun to play, and my kids enjoyed it, but what I got was very limited, and I'm not sure how much more robust and long-term satisfying the final product will be. So Threshold might be great. We'll see. Next up is Football U, a quick playing game where you are basically managing a football team and you're hiring players which give you more dice, and then like your dice will counter their dice, and you're just rolling big handfuls of dice to determine your games. It's pretty fun. Does what it sets out to do, doing a very quick to play football game. I'm trying to remember. I think there were like some balance or choice issues I had, but man, honestly, I can't remember unless I go back and watch my own video. But I do remember this one being fun for dice chucking sports fans out there. So that's Football U. And now there are two games that both like barely funded and didn't make as much money as I wanted them to, which bummed me out because I thought both these games are awesome. This one especially, this is Tranquility, the Descent, just to emphasize that more. This is the third one in the series. And yeah, this one, the publisher broke off from the person they had been working with and did it themselves, and it didn't get as much attention as I would have liked. But man, this game is amazing. Like, go and late back this one if it's still available. The cooperation in this is just excellent as you're trying to build downwards with these cards, and you're like leaving spots for each other. It's really cool. The solo mode is also good. I don't love it, because it's really more of a spatial puzzle. But yeah, really, really solid game. Can't wait for this one to deliver. That's Tranquility, the Descent. And the other one that I wish had funded more is Gone to Gaia. Although, I mean, it got a decent amount of money, and I think it's happening. Because this one is a really cool spatial adventure campaign, like kind of boss battler game, where you are leveling up with better weapons in kind of a roguelite style, almost like Vampire Survivors style. This one was great. I can't wait to see more of the campaign. They also have an expansion for romance options. They were doing some wacky stuff in the crowdfunding, but the core experience is awesome, and I would love to play this one again. That is Gone to Gaia. And finally, wow, there's one more. Ministry of Lost Things Case 2. This is the follow-up to the first case from Post Curious. And just like the first one, this is a solid game for narrative lovers, for puzzle lovers, but it doesn't rise up to the best of the best from Post Curious. For example, I prefer the one that's actually, I think, crowdfunding next week, the Stormlamp Rituals, which is, for me, a fuller experience. These ones are cheaper in smaller boxes, but they're also quicker, and it doesn't kind of blow me away as much with the narrative and the play. But still a good time if you like Post Curious. That's Ministry of Lost Things Case 2. And then getting to release games, there's only 4 of them. This month was so eaten up by crowdfunding games. This one is Star Wars Battle of Hoth, which uses the Memoir 44 Command and Colors system for combat. So this is a really solid entry in the series, great for casual war gamers. It does the same thing that all the other games do, where you're moving your units around and then doing a whole bunch of dice-based combat, and it's pretty swingy and random. This one has some cool leader modules you can add in to add some Star Wars flair to things. The scenarios are fairly varied. The units have different powers, although it's nothing compared to C&C Ancients or anything like that. Now, there is no official solo mode for this one, but I played with the CDG system. There are other systems you can get online for free. So if you want to get this one and play it solo, there are definitely lots of options out there. But yeah, a good casual war game squad combat experience. This one is great. Sorry, I should have said, but it's not a keeper for me because my kids didn't really want to play it. So this was a cull. I'm forgetting what this entire series is about. Okay, next is Origin Story, which is a superhero-themed trick-taking game. It's mainly competitive with a solo mode. And this one was also a cull for me, and a more definitive cull. I didn't really enjoy this one that much compared to other trick takers on the market. I think the way you level up your character and the huge variety in how you do that is pretty great, but it's also super swingy and can be kind of frustrating, and there are weird combos that don't work at all. The solo mode is even swingier because the bot is kind of randomly playing cards against you. I mean, don't get me wrong, the game is fine and it is pretty unique for the space, but this is a space that is so crowded. There are just so many amazing competitive and even solo co-op deck builders at this point, or not deck builders, trick takers, that I don't know if this one really earns its spot as one of the greats. So that's Origin Story. That was also a call. Next is Deckers, which is the reimplementation of Renegade. This is a solo co-op crisis management game where you're running around and you're also deck building and upgrading your cards. And this one is great. Ricky Royal did an awesome job on the design. The puzzly board movement of trying to get around and deal with all these threats is really exciting. And as I mentioned in my review, the deck building is my favorite kind, where you're upgrading your deck and you're getting rid of one card as you add another one in, so you just purely get cooler and cooler. Love all of that. But this is one I called, not for any good reason, and actually Peter was asking me the other day if I still had it and he wanted to play it, and I kind of regretted that I didn't have it. I was culling a whole bunch of games all at once, and this one was hot, so a lot of people wanted it, and yeah, it went away. But I kind of wish it hadn't. So, not saying you should cull it, you should probably seek it out, but Deckers is a great one. And last game for the month is a 4th cull. All 4 culls. That doesn't happen very often. And maybe has it ever happened? I don't know. But this is Dirt and Dust. This is purportedly a racing game mixed with kind of deck building and careful card play. And yeah, this one didn't work for me much at all. This is probably the lowest of the 4 games I covered release games this month because it didn't feel like a racing game. The deck building felt super anemic. There are some really interesting things with the action row where you're putting these cards down and then using dice to activate them. But even that was pretty swingy and at times frustrating. So yeah, this one just was pretty much a flop for me in all my groups that I tried it with, but you might love it. That's just us. That is Dirt and Dust, another call. So there you have it. A ton of crowdfunding games, quite a few that I'm excited about, and 4 release games, apparently none of which I was excited about enough to keep, although Deckers I probably should have. But let's get to the contest results and see which of you were able to read my mind. So in the first group, Battle of Hoth got 50% of the vote, which was wrong, unfortunately. Neither got 20%. That was the right answer. Origin Story got 19%, and 11% kept hope alive and thought I would keep both of them, but no such luck. And Group 2 is kind of a bloodbath because 90% of you thought I kept Deckers, and again, I should have, so good for you. 7% of you thought I kept neither game. That was, again, the right answer. 3%, ouch, thought I would keep Dirt and Dust, and nobody thought I would keep both of these. And we had a ton of people that got 3 out of 4 right, but only 4 people got all 4 right. And by all 4, I mean keeping none of them. That's Julian Dean, Matthew Mendonca, Russell Chua, and Andy Sumter. And Julian and Matthew are Patreon supporters, so they get double the entry. So I'm going to roll a D6, and we'll see who wins. And and it's a 2. Which means Julian Dean is our winner. I'll be in touch soon about your free game. And everybody else, check out the video description and you can enter for next month's Shelf Life.